If you want to have executive presence, command respect, influence others at work, and you're a leader or professional, this video is for you. You're about to learn 5 main ways to immediately achieve this through CEO body language tricks. More than 1/3 of all communication is non-verbal. So if you're only moderating your words, you will always be at a disadvantage. Let's get into it. Point number 1, slow everything down. Slow down your walking, your arm movements, your torso movements, your head movements, your blink rate, and your breathing. People associate fast, erratic movements with feeling on edge and feeling uneasy. In contrast, when everything is slowed down, you're much more approachable, you come across as more competent and confident, and also just comfortable in your own skin. Not only that, but when everything is slower, you allow yourself more time to decision make. Now imagine this. You are on an underground station. This is supposed to be a train. And it is rush hour. That's an awful train, probably needs some wheels. It's rush hour. There's people everywhere, lots of people. They're bumping past you, no one's talking, everyone's going slightly above the average walking pace, and they're frantically trying not to miss their train and just crack on with their day. Now imagine the energy. How do you feel when you're around that environment? It's not the place you're going to sit down, lay out a blanket and have a picnic. Naturally, our defensive mechanism is always on the lookout for threats in these kind of environments. Now imagine you are at an art gallery. That is supposed to be a painting of a mountain and a sun. I know, Picasso in the making. But just look at the contrast. Much fewer people, everyone's moving slowly and decisively. Everything is at a much slower pace. You let down your defensive walls. You're not afraid to approach people or be approached by someone. Now, I use these as examples, obviously 2 different ends of the spectrum completely, but the point I want to get across is this is a natural body response regardless of where you are. Point number 2, never deviate from your baseline, also known as breaking frame. So a baseline is how someone behaves when they're calm and they're comfortable. What kind of characteristics and tendencies does someone have specific to them? So in body language, a single gesture on its own isn't usually enough to give you a clear indication of someone's true thoughts or intentions, but looking for changes in the baseline is what you really want to be doing. Now, deviation happens when there's an emotional trigger. It doesn't always have to be negative, often it can be. So stress, anxiety, fear, discomfort, but also when positive emotions arise, joy, pleasure, fulfillment. But timing is important. So what happened at the time their body language changed? Was something said? Did they come to a realization? And also, was there a cluster? Are there other negative body language traits that might indicate or put credence towards this narrative? I was once interviewing a candidate for a position and everything was normal. His posture stayed the same. He seemed very cool, calm, collected the entire time. But when I asked him a question around why did you leave your last job, his shoulders tightened, his hands disappeared under the table, rubbing his thighs. And he was also micro-pausing before each sentence, clearly allowing himself time to choose his words correctly. Now, if one of these things had happened on their own, not much to take from it. As all 3 happened at once in a cluster, that was enough indication for me to go ahead and reach out to his previous employer after the interview. Turns out he was actually fired for stealing. That obviously affected our decision making going forward. How is this relevant to you though? Have protocols in place. Remind yourself that when you're emotionally triggered, in that moment, your limbic system will try and make you deviate from baseline. Just hold your frame. Boom! Next up, relaxed eye contact when listening. Now, I need to differentiate here. When you're talking to someone, it's much more generally accepted to look away and have much longer breaks from eye contact because you're thinking, you're processing information, and you're looking for words to describe your story. Now, when you're listening to someone, it's much more important to maintain eye contact. If we want to get into the specifics, typically the 80-20 rule applies here. So 80% of the time you should be looking at them, and then 20% of the time you should be looking away from them. When you do look away, quick glance, and then back right to it. Also, for the love of God, don't look over their shoulder and start checking out what else is happening in the environment, looking for something more interesting. It's the quickest and most obvious way to show them that you have no interest in what they're talking about. And it's a quick and easy way to lose respect. So to pull this off in the most natural way possible, just imagine you're meeting an old friend, one of your best friends. You've known them for years. One of those people where no matter how long you spend away from each other, it's always the same when you see each other. Now just think how your eye contact would naturally behave in that scenario. You wouldn't overthink it, it would just come naturally. You feel so at ease and comfortable around them that you do it all correctly anyway. You don't have to think about the tactics because you know the principles. Now, obviously, easier said than done, but if you can apply that mindset when you're in conversation and engaging with just your general everyday colleagues, then you're going to see a lot better success rate and it's going to come across more organic. Again, easier said than done. So revert back to the 80-20 principle and everything I've mentioned as your default. But if you can get to the point through experience, through repetition, where you can achieve that natural best friend vibe. Now, obviously, if you're a leader or an executive, you don't want to be or come across as their best friend. And sometimes in business, we have to choose between being liked and being respected and being an authority. So I'm not talking about your whole persona here, just in regards to your eye contact. If you can make it as comfortable and second nature as it is when you're seeing a good old friend, then you're going to win. Showing open palms. So showing open palms, usually up and outwards is best, is a great way to signal that we're not a threat, that we're open and we're willing to engage. This actually goes back to our primal nature back in the Neanderthal days when we were, hunting saber-toothed tigers and shit. Obviously now we're domesticated, but back then we had to be on the lookout for danger. Another tribe approaches. I want to see their hands. Are they holding anything that could be a threat to me? So this is something that we've carried through us in our DNA through generations, and it's still within us today. So naturally, studies have been done. We just find it way more likable when people have open palms as opposed to closed palms. Do it in moderation though, don't overdo it. Intermittently is best, and it has to also align with the story that you're saying in the moment. Once when I was in Thailand, I was with two friends that I made out there, Alex and Lewis. Now, Alex and Lewis didn't get on too well. They had a bit of beef. They hadn't addressed it, but everyone in the group could tell there was a bit of tension there. So one day, Alex loses his camera. Straight away, he's on Lewis's back, accusing him. You took my camera, I know it was you, own up to me and tell me where it is. Instantly, Lewis's hands went straight up in the air, pretty much by his head, open palms, as if to say, don't shoot. It wasn't me, it wasn't me. And he held them there for a good 4 or 5 seconds, which doesn't sound like much, but if you're in the moment, that's a long time to be holding your hands up like this. You gotta have a good reason for it. And the reason I mention that story is because no matter what context you're in, the same principle applies, whether you're trying to come across as more approachable, likable, or trying to de-escalate a situation, open palms is always best. Also, by the way, don't be like this guy. This guy is doing some weird gesture right now. I tried to draw an example, didn't turn out too well. Sausage fingers. Also, don't get his hair cut. Oh, and in case you're wondering, Alex left his camera on the ferry. Correct ventral orientation. Your ventral line is everything right down the middle, so your throat, your chest, and your stomach. This holds all of your biologically sensitive and vulnerable areas, so instinctively, we want to protect that. Naturally, what people do is they turn it towards stuff they feel comfortable and safe with and away from things they perceive as a threat or uncomfortable. Often we also cover the ventral line, whether that be with objects on a table, or sometimes people hug themselves like that. To contrary belief, crossed arms isn't actually always a negative body language trait, but again, if found in a cluster, and if the timing aligns with something potentially controversial, then that would be an instance of someone covering their ventral line. Think about when you go to hug someone that you love. Let's say it's your mum. You see your mum, you're like, hey mum, you put your arms out like this. That is an extreme example of opening up your entire ventral line in a situation where you feel 100% safe and content. On the flip side, police interrogations. So the way they usually go down, I see them all on YouTube, I binge it quite a lot. It's kind of interesting. But the way they usually start it is by nothing too crazy or out there or any mad accusations. They lull them into a false sense of security, and then boom, they drop the bombshell. And once they do that and they accuse them of something or they ask a direct question about the crime itself, you can see the criminal's body starts to eventually orientate towards the exit. Usually starts with the feet and then the torso. So yeah, for you, bear that in mind. Always be ventrally orientated towards the person you're engaging. Now, just to be specific, it's not good to stand directly face on with someone. That can come across as confrontational or domineering. What you actually want to do is turn your body off ever so slightly, probably not as much as I did just there, ever so slightly. Head should be direct on, but body slightly off. That's usually the sweet spot. Hope you enjoyed today's video. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on the next one.